Picture this. I'm standing in front of my bedroom mirror, smoothing down a faded denim jacket I haven't worn in ages, wondering how I let myself get roped into something so far out of my comfort zone. My name's Nina. I'm 24, and honestly, I'm more at home curled up with a good book than anywhere near a crowded stadium. But here I am, getting ready to step into a world that's not mine, all for the sake of love. I've been married to Ethan for 2 years now. He's 28, a solid guy who works long hours in logistics, always on the move, coordinating shipments, and solving problems I can barely wrap my head around. Ethan's the kind of person who lights up a room without even trying. Outgoing, quick to laugh, and surrounded by friends who've been with him since his college days. Me? I'm the opposite. I'm the one who'd rather sip tea on the couch than shout over a noisy bar. I'm reserved, maybe even a little shy, but I like my quiet life. Ethan and we're a good match, or at least I've always thought so. Our marriage feels like a warm, familiar blanket most days. Comfortable, safe. But I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments when I feel a little disconnected. His job keeps him out late, sometimes gone for days on business trips, and I'm left with too much time to think. I don't let it get to me, though. I keep busy, tell myself it's just part of the deal. We're happy, aren't we? That's what I remind myself when the house feels too empty. Then there are Ethan's friends, the trio he's inseparable from. I've only met them a handful of times, usually at some quick backyard barbecue or a birthday thing I couldn't get out of. There's Jake, the kind of guy who can charm anyone with a single grin. Confident, smooth, always knowing the right thing to say. Then there's Ryan, the quiet one. He's harder to read, always watching, taking everything in with these sharp, thoughtful eyes. I've caught him staring a time or two, not in a creepy way, just curious, I guess. And finally, there's Caleb, the one who can't help but crack a joke every 5 seconds. He's got this infectious energy, always trying to make everyone laugh, even if his punchlines don't always land. They're Ethan's people, his brothers in everything but blood. And I've always felt a little like an outsider around them. Not because they're unkind, they've been nothing but welcoming, but because their bond with Ethan runs so deep, forged over years of late-night adventures and inside jokes I'll never fully get. So when Ethan came home last week, all excited, asking me to join him and the guys for a baseball game, my first instinct was to say no. Sports? Not my thing. I've never understood the appeal of sports, but here I am, stepping out of Ethan's beat-up old truck. The warm Saturday afternoon sun hitting my face as we make our way toward the local ballpark. The air is thick with the kind of energy only a game day can bring, hundreds of voices blending into a constant hum, the distant crack of a bat echoing somewhere beyond the gates. I glance over at Ethan, who's practically bouncing with excitement, his dark green cap tilted just right, a wide grin splitting his face. I can't help but smile back, even if my heart's not fully in it. I'm trying, really trying, to be part of his world today. I've swapped my usual comfy sweats for a light blue button-up shirt and jeans, hoping to blend in with the sea of casual fans streaming through the entrance. But as we weave through the crowd, I still feel like I stick out, like everyone can tell I don't belong here. The stadium is a chaotic burst of color and sound as we step inside. The stands are packed, row after row of people decked out in team jerseys, waving foam fingers, and shouting over each other. The smell of hot dogs, popcorn, and spilled beer hits me all at once, a weirdly nostalgic mix even though I've barely been to places like this. Over the loudspeaker, an announcer's voice booms, hyping up the crowd as the players jog onto the field, tiny figures in the distance. The roar that follows is deafening, and I flinch a little, not used to this kind of raw, unfiltered enthusiasm. Ethan notices and gives my hand a quick squeeze, his way of saying I've got this, and I nod, forcing a small smile as we follow the guys toward our seats. Jake's leading the pack, as usual, his confident stride cutting through the crowd like he owns the place. He's already cracking jokes with Ethan, something about a bet they made on the game's outcome, and Ethan's laughter rings out, loud and carefree. Ryan's a step behind, quieter as always, his hands stuffed in his pockets. but his eyes are scanning the stadium with that sharp, observant look I've come to recognize. Caleb's bringing up the rear, nudging me playfully as we climb the steps to our row near the third base line. "Hey, Nina, you ready to see some real action?" he teases, waggling his eyebrows in a way that's clearly meant to get a laugh, though I just roll my eyes and mutter a half-hearted, "Sure." We finally settle into our seats, the hard plastic creaking under me as I adjust myself. Jake turns to me with that easy, charming grin of his, leaning over Ethan to say, "You know, Nina, you look like you could pass for a teenager in that getup. What's your secret?" His tone is light, friendly, and I feel my cheeks heat up despite myself. Ryan, sitting on my other side, gives a small nod, a shy smile tugging at his lips as if he agrees, but I'm sitting there in the stadium, the roar of the crowd swelling around me like a living thing, when suddenly Ethan's phone buzzes so loud I can feel the vibration through the seat between us. It's sharp, insistent, cutting through the noise of the game, and I see him glance down at it with a flicker of annoyance. He mutters a quick, "Sorry, gotta check this," before standing up and stepping away from our row, weaving through the sea of legs and spilled soda cups to find a quieter spot. I watch him go, his broad shoulders hunched slightly as he presses the phone to his ear. Even from here, I can tell something's off. His face tightens, his jaw clenching in that way it does when he's stressed, and I feel a little knot form in my stomach. He's only gone a minute, but when he comes back, his expression is all frustration, his usual easygoing vibe replaced by something heavier. "Work," he says, his voice clipped as he slides back into the seat beside me. "There's some emergency with a shipment. They need me at the warehouse right now to sort it out." I open my mouth to say something, but he's already shaking his head. "I'll be back in an hour, maybe 2. You stay, okay? Hang with the guys, enjoy the game." I hesitate, not loving the idea of being left here without him, but I don't want to come off as clingy or like I can't handle myself. So I nod, forcing a smile. "Sure, I'll be fine. Just hurry back, all right?" He gives me a quick, distracted peck on the cheek before grabbing his cap and heading off, disappearing into the crowd like he was never here. And just like that, I'm alone with Jake, Ryan, and Caleb. It's not that I don't like them. They've always been nice enough. But without Ethan as my buffer, I feel exposed, like I'm under a spotlight I didn't ask for. The game blares on in front of us, but I'm barely paying attention to the players or the scoreboard. My mind's on Ethan, wondering what kind of mess at work could pull him away so fast. Jake notices my unease first, leaning over with that smooth, reassuring tone of his. "Hey, Nina, you're not really into this, are you? Why don't we ditch the seats for a bit, find somewhere quieter to talk?" Ryan and Caleb nod in agreement, and I shrug, figuring it's better than sitting here pretending to care about strikeouts or whatever. We make our way down the steps and around to a spot behind the stands, a tucked-away area where the noise of the crowd dulls to a distant rumble. It's dimly lit back here, the flickering overhead lights casting long shadows across the concrete. A few empty beer cans are scattered on the ground, rolling slightly in the breeze, and the air smells faintly of stale popcorn and something metallic. It's not exactly cozy, but it's a break from the chaos of the main arena. I go to sit on a low metal railing, figuring it's as good a spot as any, but as I lower myself down, the edge of my shirt catches on a jagged piece of the frame. There's a loud, unmistakable rip, and I feel the fabric give way, tearing right across my side. My heart stops as I realize my light blue button-up is now hanging open, leaving me in just the thin tank top underneath. I'm mortified, my face burning hotter than the summer sun as I scramble to cover myself with my hands, stammering out an embarrassed, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." Before I can even process what's happening, Jake is right there, stepping in close to shield me from view. His body is practically pressed against mine, blocking me from Ryan and Caleb's line of sight, and his voice is low, almost a whisper, as he says, "Hey, don't worry, I've got you. It's okay." I feel his hand settle on my waist, steadying me, and my pulse races at the unexpected warmth of his touch. My breath catches, and I'm hyper-aware of how close he is, the scent of his cologne mixing with the stale air around us. My mind is a whirlwind, spinning out of control as I stand there, frozen under Jake's protective stance. I can still feel the heat of his hand on my waist, firm yet gentle, and it's like a spark that's igniting something I didn't even know was there. My breath is shallow, hitching in my chest as I try to make sense of the storm inside me. I'm married to Ethan, my rock, my safe place, and yet, here I am, caught in a moment that feels dangerously electric. Ryan, who'd been lingering a few steps back, moves closer now. I catch the shift in his demeanor out of the corner of my eye. He's not the quiet observer anymore. There's a subtle intensity in the way he looks at me, his gaze lingering on the torn fabric of my shirt before flicking up to meet my eyes. Then, without a word, he reaches out, his fingers brushing against my arm as if to steady me, though the touch feels like so much more. It sends a shiver racing down my spine, a ripple of heat that I can't ignore, no matter how much I try to tell myself this is wrong. His touch lingers, just for a moment longer than it should, and I feel the ghost of it, even after his hand pulls away, like a memory burned into my skin. Jake's grip on my waist tightens just a fraction, not in a controlling way, but as if he's anchoring himself as much as me. His voice drops even lower, a husky murmur that seems to vibrate through the small space between us. "You okay, Nina? We're here for you, you know that." There's a question in his tone, a quiet invitation that makes my heart pound so hard, I'm sure they can hear it. I try to answer, to say something, anything, but my words come out as a shaky whisper, barely audible over the distant roar of the crowd. I'm fine, I think. But I'm not fine. I'm anything but fine. My mind is screaming at me to step back, to pull away, to remember who I am and who I'm with, but my body isn't listening. It's like I'm caught in a current, being pulled under by something I can't fight. Caleb, who'd been standing a little further off, watching the whole scene unfold with an uncharacteristic stillness, finally steps in. The usual playful glint in his eyes is gone, replaced by something deeper, more serious. He moves with a slow, deliberate pace, closing the distance until he's right there beside me. His hand finds my shoulder, a light but intentional touch that sends another jolt through me. "Hey, we've got you," he says softly, his voice lacking its usual teasing edge. It's comforting, but it's also confusing, because the air around us feels charged, heavy with something unspoken. The shadows behind the stands seem to press in closer, wrapping us in a cocoon of dim light and muffled sounds. The distant cheers of the game fade into a dull hum, like we've stepped into a different world, one where the rules I've always lived by don't seem to apply. I'm torn in two, my thoughts racing faster than I can keep up with. Part of me is screaming to stop this, to think of Ethan, to remember the promises I made under a different kind of light, with a ring on my finger and a future ahead of us. I picture his face, the way he smiled at me just hours ago, full of trust, before he was pulled away by that urgent call. Guilt claws at my chest, sharp and unrelenting, telling me to pull back, to walk away before I cross a line I can't uncross. But there's another part of me, a quieter, more reckless part, that's been buried under years of routine and loneliness. It's whispering now, fueled by the emptiness I've felt on too many quiet nights, by the thrill of being seen, really seen, in a way I haven't felt in so long. That part keeps me rooted here, unable to move, unable to break the spell that's weaving. I'm standing there, behind the stands, the dim flicker of the stadium lights casting jagged shadows across the concrete, and I can feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me like a physical force. My heart is a drum in my chest, pounding so hard it drowns out the distant roar of the crowd. I know I should step back, should break this charged silence that's wrapped itself around me, Jake, Ryan, and Caleb. But I don't. I can't. It's like I'm caught in a storm, the kind you can't see but can feel in every nerve, every breath. And in that split second, I make a choice. Or maybe the choice makes itself. I let go. Completely. I surrender to the pull, to the heat, to the forbidden rush that's been building since the moment my shirt tore and their hands reached out to steady me. It happens fast, yet every second stretches into eternity. Jake's grip on my waist tightens, pulling me closer with a firmness that sends a jolt through me, a silent command I don't resist. His breath is warm against my skin, his presence overwhelming as he draws me into the shadow of his frame. Ryan, usually so reserved, steps in too, his voice a low murmur against my ear. Words I can't quite catch but feel in the way they ripple through me, igniting something raw and untamed. His closeness is a quiet storm, intense and unspoken, and I'm caught in its eye. Then there's Caleb, his usual lightness gone, replaced by a steady confidence as his hands guide me, sure and unhesitating, leaving no room for second thoughts. It's a dance of sorts, chaotic and impulsive, each touch a spark that feeds the fire. I'm lost in it, in the way their nearness consumes every rational thought, in the way the cool concrete wall presses against my back, grounding me even as I spiral out of control. The setting only heightens the intensity. The distant cheers of the game are a muffled roar, a veil that hides what's unfolding here in this hidden corner. The flickering lights above us paint fleeting patterns across their faces, making every glance, every movement feel like a secret carved in shadow. The air is thick with the scent of stale popcorn and metal, but all I can focus on is the heat of their touches, the way it sears through me, leaving no space for anything else. Time blurs, slipping through my fingers like sand. I don't know how long we're there, caught in this whirlwind of impulse and desire, but every moment is etched into me. The rush of adrenaline, the way my skin prickles under their attention, the way I let myself fall into something I know I shouldn't. It's a collision of need and recklessness, a moment where I'm not Nina, Ethan's wife, but someone else entirely, someone who's been starving for this kind of chaos without even realizing it. But even as I'm swept up, my mind isn't silent. It's a battlefield, torn between the thrill and the crushing weight of guilt. I think of Ethan, of the trust in his eyes when he left me here, promising to be back soon. I see his face in my mind, clear as day, and it's like a knife twisting in my chest. What am I doing? How did I let it come to this? I'm breaking something sacred, something I swore to protect, and yet I can't stop. The guilt crashes over me in waves, each one heavier than the last, but it's not enough to pull me out of this. Not yet. I'm drowning in the conflict, in the push and pull of wanting to stop and not being able to, of knowing this is wrong but feeling so alive in a way I haven't in years. My thoughts spiral, a tangled mess of shame and exhilaration, as I let myself be carried further into the moment, into the heat and the shadows. And then, just as suddenly as it began, reality snaps me back. My phone buzzes in my pocket, a sharp vibration that cuts through the haze like a blade. I fumble for it, my hands trembling as I pull it out, and there on the screen is a text from Ethan. His name on the screen hits me like a bucket of ice water, dousing the fire that had consumed me just moments ago. The text is short, simple. On my way back. Be there in 20. My stomach drops, a sickening lurch that makes the world tilt for a second. I stare at the words, my hands still shaky, as the weight of what I've done crashes down on me all over again. I mumble something incoherent to Jake, Ryan, and Caleb, stepping back, my legs unsteady as I try to put distance between us. They don't push, don't say much, just watch me with expressions I can't quite read. Maybe regret, maybe understanding, maybe something else entirely. I don't linger to figure it out. I need to get back to the stands, back to where I'm supposed to be, before Ethan returns and sees something in my eyes I can't hide. We make our way back to our original seats, the roar of the crowd growing louder with every step, a stark contrast to the muffled secrecy of that hidden corner. I slide into my spot, the hard plastic of the seat cold against my skin, and I try to steady my breathing. My hands fidget in my lap, twisting the hem of my torn shirt, now awkwardly tied to cover what it can. Jake sits a few seats down, his usual charm dimmed as he stares out at the field, avoiding my gaze. Ryan's next to him, quieter than ever, his shoulders hunched like he's carrying a weight he can't shake. Caleb, on my other side, tries to lighten the mood with a half-hearted quip about the latest play, but it falls flat, his voice lacking its usual spark. The air between us is thick, heavy with unspoken things, and I feel like I'm suffocating under the pretense of normalcy. I force myself to focus on the game, though the players are just blurs of color to me now. The scoreboard ticks up, the crowd cheers, but it's all background noise to the storm raging inside me. My mind keeps replaying those moments behind the stands, the heat, the rush, the way I let myself fall into something I knew was wrong. Guilt gnaws at me, sharp and relentless, a constant reminder of the line I crossed. I try to push it down, to bury it under fake smiles and nods, but it's there, festering, making my stomach churn with every passing second. I glance at the empty seat beside me, waiting for Ethan to fill it, and I wonder if he'll see right through me when he does. About 20 minutes later, I spot him weaving through the crowd, his familiar green cap bobbing as he makes his way up the steps. Relief washes over his face when he sees me, though he looks tired, worn out from whatever crisis pulled him away. He slides into the seat next to me, his shoulder brushing mine, and I feel a pang so sharp it steals my breath. "Hey, sorry I took so long," he says, his voice softer now, less strained. "Everything okay here?" I turn to him, plastering on a smile that feels too tight, too bright, and nod a little too quickly. "Yeah, all good. How'd things go at work?" My voice is higher than usual, a forced cheerfulness that sounds foreign even to my own ears. I can't meet his eyes for long, so I look down at my hands, still fidgeting, picking at a loose thread like it's the most fascinating thing in the world. Ethan starts to answer, something about a delayed shipment and a frustrated client, but I'm only half listening. I catch him glancing at me a couple of times, his brow furrowing slightly, like he senses something's off but can't quite place it. I wonder if he notices the tension in the group. Jake still won't look my way, Ryan's barely said a word since we sat back down, and Caleb's forced laughter doesn't fool anyone. Or maybe Ethan's just too exhausted to pick up on it. Either way, I'm grateful for his obliviousness, even if it makes the guilt twist deeper. I nod along to his story, murmurs. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.